Friends, there is a very big concern that we need to talk about. Yes, AI, yes, drones, but we need to talk about something even further, and that is humanoid robots. And I think that one of the things that people are not really realizing is how fast this technology is advancing and how this technology can be integrated with AI, with autonomous driving vehicles, and we're now getting word out of China that they now have a humanoid robot that can go and recharge itself. Hot swapping out batteries, and this is starting to get quite disconcerting. We need to talk about, friends, because this is going to shape things. I want to hear your opinions as well down in the comments about where this is going, because it's going really fast and it's going somewhere. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are the things the mainstream media just really isn't discussing. The mainstream media will tell you that there's these advancements, but they won't really talk about what could this mean. What could this mean for us? All right, so we're going to obviously be talking about how this is going to impact workforces. AI is going to put a lot of brain work out of work. A lot of people who have jobs where you're interacting with a computer, creating information, manipulating information, but for a long while we've said basically, but things that you do with your hands are not going to be replaced very quickly. Well, that's rapidly changing. If you haven't been following along, not only do we have Boston Dynamics out there building these robot killer dogs or rescue dogs or just robotic dogs that do all sorts of stuff, which is kind of freaky and annoying and scary, but it's not too terrifying, right? A little dog. Now you put some weaponry on that dog, and suddenly it does get a little more scary, right? But still, it's kind of like a drone, basically. It's a drone that's walking. Drones that fly are somehow a little more scary. But once we get the humanoid robots, the walking starts to get a little more threatening, especially since one company out there is actually training it to do kung fu and stuff like that. That's a little more frightening, but we have a number of these companies out there that are actively trying to bring these robots to our day-to-day lives. Some companies out there that you may have heard of, Tesla has their Optimus. Optimus is trying to do like household tasks and industrial tasks. It is humanoid, but it's learning how to do stuff. So they're having it serving popcorn out of a popcorn maker. They're probably going to try to shove those into fast food restaurants pretty fast. But they're kind of pricey. $20,000 to $50,000 is kind of the price range they're looking at. Now, if you have to pay people $15 an hour, those robots may start to make sense relatively quickly, but I'm not in charge of those policies. But in addition to Tesla with their Optimus, you got the one that's really concerning and what's triggering this video is UB Tech out of China. Seeing the video of this robot going up to a packet of batteries and pulling out one of its batteries, putting it on the shelf, pulling one of the hot batteries off the shelf and putting it into itself. It has several batteries in its bank, and so it can switch over to the other battery while it's swapping out that one. And basically, that means that this android humanoid robot can just kind of keep on going. It can go over to a charge pack, pull out a new battery pack, put a battery pack in, and keep on going. Now, when you start combining these things, this is where when you have new technologies like this, it's multiplied. It's multiplied by other technologies. So you have your autonomous vehicles that are driving around in like was it like 6 or 7 U.S. cities right now. These Waymo, Tesla is now driving around as well, and another 1 or 2 companies inside the United States. In China, they have a whole bunch of companies that are driving around autonomous, driverless vehicles that are driving around by themselves around these cities. It's not science fiction anymore. It's already happening. Now, what happens when you take a humanoid robot that can then get into a driverless car and can now pop up anywhere in the city? Driverless cars aren't very threatening, but when you put a humanoid in there or you attach a drone to the autonomous vehicle, you can start seeing where this is going. Because naturally, some of us more concerned citizens immediately start thinking about how this applies to how the government can use this to impose its will upon us. And when you have driverless vehicles with humanoid robots on there that can then show up at your house, deploy drones for surveillance, are you starting to see where this is kind of going? And it takes time for innovation to go into the warfighting space. But when you have wars and when you have companies focused on that kind of stuff, they start taking off-the-shelf technologies and using them for fighting. And this is what we've seen over in Eastern Europe. Very concerning. The large-scale attack that Eastern Europe launched on Bear Country with these shipping containers that had hidden drones in them. And then those shipping containers got close enough to these air bases, and then the drones launched their attack on the bomber fleet that was parked out on the air bases. You start seeing where this is kind of going, and I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. But so you got Tesla out there with its Optimus. You got Boston Dynamics with its Atlas. Of course, they have their little robot dog there too. But Atlas is really focused on mobility and agility. But they're already starting to use Atlas for automobile manufacturing. Automobile manufacturing. Hyundai is already using the Boston Dynamics Atlas in the assembly of vehicles. So this is stuff that's being rolled out. People who work with their hands, their jobs are under threat. Now, some people would think that basically that these droids, these humanoids, are going to replace humans in their workplaces. And it's hard to say exactly where this is going to go because, I mean, they are expensive, but like Tesla's getting ready to mass produce these things. They want to produce millions of them. And they're continuing to rapidly evolve in their abilities. If you've seen some of these humanoid robots recently, particularly like Atlas, the thing can run around and jump up on top of things and bounce around, and it doesn't have any wires attached to it. It's completely standalone. And as these things get the battery packs that can hot swap themselves out, they're going to be just like humans taking a bathroom break, but they're just going to go over to the charger and plug themselves back in, get new batteries, and then just go right back to work. This is kind of crazy. People who have jobs are going to be under threat. Manufacturing jobs are going to be under threat as well. I mean, we're all going to have to start moving over into different types of work. So there's the integration of those technologies, but now integrate AI or artificial intelligence with the robots. And that's one thing that we're starting to see where they're trying to put the artificial intelligence not on the internet and not on some server farm over there, but they're trying to put limited artificial intelligence into these humanoid robots. So they don't have to be programmed and then they just do what they're, programmed to do, but rather they're actually adapting. You can walk up to the robot and tell it something that you want it to do, and then it will decide whether it should do that and decide, are you seeing where this is going? Imagine a world in the not so distant future, we're talking in a few years, where you tell your robot, go to the store, pick up some tomatoes, make sure that they don't have any brown spots on them, make sure you get some bananas, get some fish from the store, and bring it home. And then your humanoid robot walks out the front door, hails a robotic taxi to pick it up. It drives to the store. It gets out of the store, walks down the aisles, picks the things that you told it to get, puts them in a basket or whatever, checks out remotely using your credit card, gets into another robo-taxi and comes home. Now that may seem a little stupid because why would you use your robot to do that when you can just tell Walmart to use its robot to do that? Home delivery or whatever. But you can just imagine a world where you're seeing all these robotic taxis going around taking people's humanoid robots to go do tasks that they want them to do. Am I scaring you yet? Because that's what these companies are getting ready to bring into being. And we're not talking like 2040s. We're not even talking 2030s. We're talking late 2020s. It's 2025 right now, halfway through that year. I know it's hard to believe. But Tesla wants to have like 8 million of these things by 2029. They want to have full autonomous Tesla taxis in every city in the United States, in just the next couple years. Waymo is trying to do the same thing. They have a whole bunch of these vehicles out there already in some test cities. And honestly, those taxis seem to be doing fairly well. People have been riding them. We're closing in on 100,000 people have ridden Waymo. 100,000, and not just ridden them. Closing in on 100,000 paid Waymo rides. People are using their app to hire a Waymo ride. And the robotic taxi is coming to their house or wherever they are. They're getting into the vehicle and there's no driver. And it's driving them to where they're going. And they're paying on their little app thing. I know some of you are kind of like, I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Yeah, it's a thing. And some of you have probably heard about that. So if you've already heard about, humor the fact that there's other people who are hearing that stuff for the first time. Factory jobs are absolutely in danger. Robots can do the repetitive tasks over and over and over again that are needed on factory assembly lines. And China gets this because a lot of the repetitive tasks that are being done in the factories by workers can absolutely be replaced by robots. And that's maybe how the United States is going to beat China, is that robots in the United States may be able to do it faster and cheaper than humans in China, especially when you factor in the tariffs. Are you seeing what this is happening? The world is rapidly changing. And in the next 5 years, we're gonna have a hard time recognizing the world. Remember how fast the pandemic and those things changed? Well, friends, how these things are going to change in the next few years is also going to be crazy. Now, if we have World War III, that gives us an interruption to this stuff. But when you have soldiers going into warfare with their humanoid android buddy, their wingman, every time they need to go into a hole or go around a corner, their Android buddy is going to go first because they can take a few shots and it's okay. But when this becomes normalized, this technology is going to be normalized in any kind of war, large scale war. I mean, that's the biggest problem with that country in Eastern Europe is that they're running out of people. They don't have enough people to put on the front line. Well, what happens when they can start using robots? And believe me, that's where we're headed. You got these robots. How much harder is it to simply weld on a boomstick onto these things? Their hands can do all sorts of tasks. You think they can't just do this? Friends, let me know, how big of a threat do you think this is? What are the things that we should really be watching out for? It's in some ways hard to predict exactly how this is all going to go down and how the implications are. We're all still trying to imagine this new future that is literally coming to be. And what are the implications? What are the biggest implications out there? Learning how to service these robots is probably going to be a very good job in the very near future. Being able to service robotic vehicles, being able to service robots is something that at least robots right now are having a hard time doing. But pretty sure they'll probably come out with robots that can service the robots pretty fast. And you can just imagine how horrifying and terrifying that may be. Because it all comes down to one thing. Those robots are going to do what they're programmed to do. They're going to do what a person tells them to do. Probably. I guess it's even more terrifying if they start doing whatever they want to do. There's been enough movies about that I think we can kind of imagine that, can't we? The horrifying future of what happens when all the robots decide that they don't really like humans or that humans are really the problem. And that the world might be better off without the humans. We're a little ways away before the robots could wipe us out. But we're kind of heading that direction, aren't we? All right, friends, let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Please be nice to each other. There's going to be people who disagree with you. There's going to be people who have a different idea of what's going to happen next. And that's all right. We're having conversation. I know you guys are pretty awesome, actually. For the most part, there's always some people who come in and stir up some trouble. But, this is a really important, powerful conversation for us to be having because this is coming faster and faster. I remember just a few years ago going like, those robots can't do diddly squat. I mean, it's really kind of a joke. They can't even stand up straight. And now, not only are they standing up straight, they're running around and jumping on things and navigating all sorts of obstacles that a lot of people have trouble navigating. And now that they can recharge themselves and power themselves and be driven by AI, where they can understand the world around them and respond and react to the world around them, it's starting to get terrifying in a very, very fast way. All right, friends, we'll keep you up to date on some of the latest updates happening out there, but honestly, they're happening so fast. Maybe healthcare will get better, but maybe we'll lose the human touch along the way, too. I don't know. Like I said, let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.